Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Cucchiara.
Welcome in, Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you very much for those that continue to tune into our show. We are super proud and excited about the fact, again, I'll just mention, it's always worthy mentioning for those that just may be checking in and following us for the first time. We have been doing live radio and podcasting now for just about 11 years, over 1,700 interviews and shows with a lot of great guests and information. Our focus is education and information. So what I do, and I work really hard to do so, is I continue to do my due diligence and research, analyzation of the market, a lot of different things to bring to you, the consumer, and also to our business partners. We have a lot of followers of the show. They're real estate agents, other people in the lending business, title business, construction, that follow the show on a regular basis. So I want to thank you again. Before I get the show started, again, I want to thank all those listeners. We get hundreds of thousands of downloads, and we continue to do that. And they've been loyal followers, and we get a fair amount of emails and texts during the week as well with some great questions. So thank you for that, and thank you for all those that continue to follow. Before I forget, also, before I start the show, please be sure to like the show and do us a favor and follow us. There's a button there. You could like it and also follow us. We'd love to have you do that. And, also share it with any friends, family, coworkers, anyone that you think could benefit from this information as well. All right, let me dive into the show today. It is the title of the show, and the discussion is, it is finally officially a buyer's market. That's right, officially a buyer's market. Now, when I say that, keep in mind that there could be little pocket markets that aren't quite buyer's markets yet. I'm saying in general, our research shows throughout the United States and even here in the Silicon Valley, we are officially seeing a trend and a move towards a buyer's market. Some people might say, well, Joe, I'm not sure. I'm still hearing about multiple offers. I'm still hearing about homes going over, 10, 15, 20% asking price. That is true. So I will tell you this, there will always, for the most part, be a small percentage or some homes that get listed and get multiple offers, and also, bid up and bought for over asking. So let me just clarify, because there's a big difference. What I am seeing and what is taking place right now in the Silicon Valley, and I'll start there and kind of stretch out a little bit. In the Silicon Valley, we haven't had this many listings in Santa Clara County and some of the neighboring counties for 4, 5, 6 years. We haven't seen this many homes on the market in 4, 5, 6 years, and maybe more in some counties and some places. So what does that mean, and why is this happening? Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, everyone knows the volatility in the market. Everyone knows the anxiety about tariffs or no tariffs and what's the tariffs going to do. And, I would say this, if you are looking for a home and you are maybe indecisive over the last couple of years, or recently thinking, I don't want to jump into this market, Joe. I don't want to compete with multiple offers. I don't want to pay 15, 20% more for a home. I don't blame you. I understand. But I would tell you right now is a great time, if you're considering, or if you're in a market or you're thinking about it, to get yourself approved, to be ready to buy. And one of the strongest reasons is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it now, is that there is more and more inventory. So this is a supply and demand game, ladies and gentlemen. And so the basic economics of supply and demand is, when there is more supply and there should be less demand, it just depends now on what's going on. Now, the last 7 or 8 years, at least the last 5 years, we are in a situation constantly where we had very little supply and all this demand. Well, it couldn't satisfy all the demand. So now with the additional supply, we should be able to satisfy, in theory, more of the demand. That's why I'm suggesting if you're on the edge or, oh God, what am I do? What should I do? Is it a buyer's market, a seller's market? I would say right now, get ready to go buy a home. And again, I would say whether it's a primary residence, whether it's a second home or an investment property, it doesn't matter. We're seeing more and more homes on the market. I think we're going to get even more than we have now. I mean, there's places like Florida. I don't know if most of you take a look and do the research yourself, but there are places like Florida right now that have almost just as many homes on the market that they did in '08 and '09. That's right. It's crazy. Now, here's another thing to know, and especially for first-time home buyers. I know some people kind of shy away from condominiums and they're nervous about condominiums, and I get it. There's high HOAs and there's some issues around them sometimes. And the fact is, historically, they don't appreciate like single families. I get that. I understand that. But condos are often a great way for first-time home buyers to get started. So I'll remind you, me and my team here, that's what we do, mortgage financing. We've been doing this for 24 years. We have a team of people. We've helped thousands and thousands of people over the last 20 years. And if you are thinking about getting pre-approved, if you need a refinance, if you need to get set up for a purchase, we're here to do that. Contact us, and we could do that through the United States. If any of you are listening in other states or other counties outside of California, just know that we could help you in those other states and counties as well. Now, the more inventory that it's on the market, what we're seeing right now, the other thing the reason I brought up condominiums is because we're seeing a lot of condominiums on the market and sitting on the market for longer periods of time. And again, it's because of the reason I just explained to you. They're often less desirable for many different reasons. HOAs, expenses. A lot of people believe that they don't appreciate as more. Historically, that is true. But I will tell you, if you are looking for maybe an investment or even a first-time home buyer, there's nothing wrong with a condominium. Or if you're looking for a second home near the beach or a lake area or something like that, condominiums are great for that as well. So don't rule them out. Don't rule them out if you get an opportunity. We are now officially in a buyer's market. I know there could be some people that argue with me. Some people will debate me, and that's fine. I'm happy to do that too. But I will tell you, based on the last 5 or 6 years, we are in a buyer's market. I'm seeing more activity. I've seen more people go into contract in the last 2 or 3 weeks than I have in the prior 4 or 5 months. That's right. So get out there, get approved. If you're on the fence, it doesn't cost to get approved. Let our team get approved. Or if you're working with someone else, just get approved. Just go in and take a couple hours or a couple of days, whatever it takes, get pre-approved for a purchase, get the maximum buying power you have, and you'll be available just in case something comes up to jump on it. That's the best thing to do. So I would recommend, again, now this is going to affect a couple of different things. If you're a potential seller out there, you're probably getting a little nervous going, well, wait a minute. If there's more homes on the market, that means typically the prices maybe will stagnate a little bit. Maybe I won't get in over asking. Maybe I won't get the premium. And that could be true. So I will say this, and I know it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but if you're a potential seller and you are waiting for a great time to sell, I would sell now. There's going to be a period of time. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. And again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know that this for sure. This is my opinion. Okay. We're seeing more and more homes go on the market. As the economy gets more settled, and some people might say, well, it's not settled and it may not be for a long time. That's true. But I will say this, as people get used to what's going on in the volatility in the stock market and kind of the market in general, most people just say, you know what? I just got to get on with my life. I need to buy a house. I need to sell a house. I want to move. I want to move my family. I want to upgrade. There's all kinds of reasons. And most people finally get settled in. They go, you know what? This can't paralyze me. I'm going to get moving. I'm going to make a decision based on what's good for me and my family or myself or anyone and make that decision. So here's what I think is going to happen. And I'm going to project about 12 to 18 months out. Some people think, well, let me start different here. So one of the reasons we've had a stagnation in the market and very little inventory for several years have been a few reasons. One, one of the biggest reasons is that historically in 2020, 2021, millions of people locked in at interest rates in 3.5% or lower. Incredible time to get interest rates. So that a lot of this pent up demand, a lot of the reason there hasn't been homes on the market is because if I'm sitting on a 2.5%, 3% interest rate, even if I want to buy another house, I'm thinking, why in the world, or how could I get rid of this rate at 2.5% or 3%? And I don't blame you. So that's been part of the reason for the stagnation and the reason why there hasn't been more homes on the market. If you're following my show, you know the other reason I'm convinced a lot of people aren't aware of is there are less homes on the market is because over the last, let's call it 7, 8 years, maybe more, there has been more homes, blocks of homes, hundreds in some case, thousands in some case, hundreds of thousands of units bought up by hedge funds, private equity funds, a lot of major players, BlackRock and many others, have gone in and scooped up thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of properties. So you might be saying, well, Joe, what does that have to do with anything? Let me explain. If you have a huge percentage of homes that are bought up by financial institutions like hedge funds or private equity, guess what? They're holding on to those properties long term and they're not churning them and they're not seasonally moving them and they're not doing upgrades like a conventional homeowner would do. Let me just give you a quick example. Back before hundreds of thousands of units or homes were bought up by these hedge funds and these private equity funds, you had the average homeowner that would buy a home, keep it for an average of 7, 8 years, and either decide to sell and buy or keep it as a rental and buy again. So you had more churning and more really, you had more movement in the marketplace. You had more homes going in the market because you had individual homeowners making a move. You have less individual homeowners making a move right now because private equity in a lot of these places own hundreds of thousands of properties and they're not moving them as rapidly and quickly as an individual homeowner would be moving them. So that is the other problem, the other challenge we've been faced with of the reason why we've had low inventory. Now, that could be changing once the market detects and once some of these hedge funds and private equities think, you know what, I need to dump some of these properties for capital, or maybe markets are starting to change and markets are starting to flatten, our markets are starting to withdraw or pull back. Guess what? You might see a lot of homes being dumped on the market by these private equity groups. Okay. That's one of the things that could happen. The other thing that's going to happen, I believe in this, and again, I can't guarantee it. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think this is going to happen. When the interest rates get into back into the 5% range, right now we're still in the mid to high sixes. If they come down roughly 1% in the mid to high fives, we are going to see a slew of activity, not only in refinance, but I also believe we're going to see a slew of activity with people now wanting to sell their home and buy. And people would say, why, Joe? I mean, if I have a 3.5% interest rate and it goes to 5.5%, what's the difference? It's still a lot more. It's more, but there is a huge delta and difference between 3.5 and 7 and 3.5 and 5. You understand? Here's my point. Millions of people that have been waiting to sell their home or move up or do anything with their property with a 3.5% interest rates, when rates are at 7, absolutely there's going to be stagnation and you're going to stall. But when those rates come back to the 5s and someone's got a 3 to 3.5 or even a 4, let me tell you, now is the time that they'll make that move. And the reason why is there's a less of a delta between that rate that they hold now and the rates that have come down. So we're going to have, I believe, sometime, I'm just going to call it 6 to 18 months. 6 to 18 months. We're going to have more and more homes go on the market because of these reasons I'm talking about right now. Now, again, I'll just keep saying there's no guarantee. I don't have a crystal ball, but I study these markets on a regular basis. And I strongly believe that in the next 6 to 18 months, we're going to continue to get more and more homes on the market. What'll happen? We're finally going to get flattening, and we're even going to get a pullback. That's right, we're going to get depreciation. We are going to get homes that are going to drop in value. We're already seeing that. We're already seeing it right now. And again, this is my estimation. This is my evaluation. This is what I think. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. I will bring you back to 2008 and 2009 because a lot of people would say, Joe, this is a bunch of hogwash. Listen, over the last 50 years, we've had three pullbacks in the market in the Silicon Valley, let's just call it, or in general. That is true. Major in the last 50 years, I'm just, roughly we've had 3 to 4 pullbacks. That's all. And you might be saying, oh my God, that's nothing. But let me tell you, a 30 to 40% pullback, even temporarily, is a big move. If you have a home that you just bought for $1 million and you get a 30% pullback and now that home's worth $700,000, that makes a lot of people nervous. It also, depending on the down payment you put down, now you could be underwater. All I'm saying is this will happen. We will have a correction. I'm not saying it's going to be massive. And in some areas, it's going to be stronger than others, or it's going to be less affected by others. Listen, we've been through this before. Silicon Valley is a bubble. And I mean we're isolated in a bubble. When I mean a bubble, it's not going to pop. I mean, in a bubble, in a sense that we are different than most states and most counties throughout the United States. The reason why the housing market stays so strong here is because we have extremely strong job markets with people making a lot of money. The average household income is tremendous. So Silicon Valley might be less affected, but outer states and other areas, we're already seeing secondary home markets like places in Arizona, Idaho, Montana, some of these places that are second home or people thought they could work from anywhere are starting to change big time. We're already seeing pullbacks. We're seeing more homes on the market, and we're seeing actually prices decline. So this is not so much to make people nervous and warn or frighten people. Please, this is education information. And this is coming from a person who's been studying this market for a long time. And I will end the show by saying this. It is a buyer's market in many, many places for the first time in 4 or 5 years. How long will it last? I don't know. Will it change 6 months from now or 3 months from now? I don't know. But what I will tell you is if you're thinking about buying, now is a great time to do it. The last thing I'll cover is if you're thinking about buying and you say, Joe, yeah, it might be a great time, but the rates are still high. Yes, the rates are a little bit higher, but guess what? Historically speaking, these rates aren't that high. One. And two, you could always refinance. If you find the home that you love and you like, or you find the investment that works for you and you want to make a move, don't worry about the interest rate. And I don't say that to downplay it, but if you're a long-term investor or take a long-term approach on property, don't worry about the rate. I'm serious. I bought my first house when I had a 12.5% interest rate, adjustable rate. It's all relative. I get it. If you can't qualify, absolutely, sure. Don't get me wrong. You don't want to go out and buy a house if you can't qualify or if you're getting way over your head. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying if you could qualify, even if the rate's in the high sixes, and you find a place, and now you have a better buyer's market where you could ask for credit or you could get a price reduction, now is a great time to buy. Listen, real quick example. If you could buy a house in a market today, let's just say they listed for $1 million and you get it for $950 or $900 because the market's a buyer's market and you can reduce that price for $50,000 to $100,000. Guess what? That reduction of $50,000 to $100,000 is much more than any interest rate you would pay for the next several years, even at 7%. Does that make sense? If you buy a house today and you're at, let's just call it 7%. And let's say, God, Joe, I want to wait till it goes to 6. And let's just, for example, I'm going to do this example. Let's say it's a $200 a month difference. And you're like, oh, God, I love this house. But you save $100,000 on the house because it's a buyer's market, but you're paying a higher interest rate. And let's just call it $250. Let's, for sake of example, $200 a month times 12, even take it times 10, even take it times 15, is still a lot less than saving $100,000. You get what I'm saying? Let's say you pay a higher interest rate, and because you paid a higher interest rate, you end up paying another, I don't know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for that house over the next couple of years. But you just saved $100,000 on that house because it was a buyer's market and you were able to negotiate a better deal. So what do you think's better? Saving $100,000 versus another maybe 6, 7, 8, even 10,000? If the time is right for you, if you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about it, now is a great time to buy. Remember, we help people with pre-approvals. We help people with financing. That's what we do. That's what our team does here. We also have a great partnership with many different people in our business partnership. If you need a great real estate agent, financial planner, CPA, builder, any of that, home decorator, we're here to help you with all that. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. Again, great buyer's market. Get out there, make some decisions. As always, if you'd like to reach out to me for feedback, analysis, or if we could help you get pre-approved, to help you with your financing, it doesn't matter if it's a refinance or a purchase. 2 ways to reach me: area code 408-838-9060, area code 408-838-9060, or email joe@reradiolive.com. That is joe@reradiolive.com. Thank you again for listening, and thank you for all those people that continue to follow and support our show. Until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.